The world has a funny way of convincing you otherwise, though. It whispers that you should cling, beg, plead, fight for what slips through your fingers. That desperation is somehow noble, that the act of chasing what's running away from you is a testament to your worth. But it isn't. Chasing is the last gasp of the powerless. The strong don't run after what's fleeing. They watch it go and turn their gaze to something new, something better, because to replace is to reclaim control. Chasing is exhausting, a game designed to leave you empty-handed. It feeds on your insecurities, on the need to be needed, to be validated. The more you chase, the more you reveal. Your cracks, your flaws, your dependence. The strong understand this. They don't play the game. They let what's leaving walk away, because they know that power isn't in holding on. It's in letting go. Replacing isn't about indifference. It's about survival. It's about keeping your dignity intact while the world tries to strip it away. The ones you chase rarely look back. Why would they? To be chased is to be exalted, to feel superior, to hold the leash even as you run. But when the chasing stops, so does their illusion of power. The strong know this. They don't give anyone the satisfaction of being pursued. To replace is to show the world and yourself that nothing is indispensable, that no one is irreplaceable. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. Replacing isn't revenge. It's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about saying, I refuse to devalue myself for someone who saw me as expendable. To chase is to kneel, to beg, to diminish. To replace is to rise, to choose, to rebuild. The strong don't chase because they know their worth doesn't depend on someone else's recognition of it. They replace because they refuse to be defined by loss. The world respects those who replace. It's the ultimate act of defiance, the ultimate rejection of victimhood. When you replace, you shift the narrative. You take the story of what was taken from you and turn it into a story of what you gained instead. Replacing isn't about forgetting. It's about prioritizing. It's about saying, this is where my energy goes now. Not into the void, but into something that fuels me. Chasing is noisy. It's a flurry of frantic actions, desperate words, hollow promises. Replacing is silent. It's a quiet decision made in the dead of night, a resolve that doesn't need validation. The strong replace because they understand that their value isn't tied to who stays or who leaves. Their value is intrinsic, unshakable, untouchable. To replace is to embody that understanding, to live it, to let it shape every decision. Replacing isn't cold. It's wise. It doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you cared enough to know when to stop. The strong don't waste their energy trying to revive something that's already gone. They channel that energy into building something new, something stronger, something that doesn't require chasing to sustain. Replacing is an act of creation, of evolution. It's not about erasing the past. It's about refusing to let it define the future. The world wants you to chase, because chasing keeps you small. It keeps you in a cycle of dependence, always reaching, never arriving. The strong break that cycle. They don't wait for closure, for apologies, for recognition. They move on, not out of apathy, but out of respect for themselves. Replacing isn't about forgetting what was lost. It's about finding what was missing all along. The strong don't dwell on what's gone. They build with what's left. They replace not because they don't feel, but because they refuse to let their feelings control them. The strong understand that life is a series of replacements, each one a step closer to something that aligns with who they are, with who they're becoming. Inner peace is the foundation most people neglect, and without it, everything built on top of it crumbles. They rush into connections, blinded by desire or loneliness, dragging their chaos into the lives of others. They call it love, but it's dependency, a desperate attempt to use someone else as a bandage for wounds they refuse to acknowledge. And when it fails, and it always fails, they blame the other person, the circumstances, the stars, never themselves. But you can't find peace in someone else if you haven't forged it within yourself first. The conditioned mind is the ultimate prison. Society molds people into its image, feeds them dreams of success, love, and happiness, but never teaches them how to achieve it. They chase illusions, perfect relationships, perfect jobs, perfect lives, without ever pausing to question what they actually want. Their misery is predictable, cyclical, almost poetic. These are the people who dive headfirst into relationships, expecting someone else to fill the void inside them. But the void isn't a puzzle someone else can solve. It's a wound only self-awareness can heal. Inner peace is not given. It's earned. It's carved out of silence, reflection, and confrontation with the self. Most people avoid this process because it's uncomfortable, even painful. They'd rather distract themselves with the noise of others than face the storm within. And so, they carry their unresolved baggage into every relationship, turning partners into therapists, into saviors, into crutches. But no one can bear that weight for long. Relationships born out of imbalance are doomed to collapse. People who lack inner peace are like drowning victims. They pull others down with them. Their unresolved issues seep into everything, poisoning what could have been beautiful. They can't give love because they don't understand it. Love without peace is chaos, and chaos always consumes itself. The strong understand this. They don't seek to build with others until they've built themselves. They know that adding another person to their life isn't about completion. It's about complementing the peace they've already found. Most people live in loops, repeating the same patterns and the same mistakes over and over. They don't even realize it because the conditioning is so deep, so ingrained. They chase relationships, thinking they'll find meaning there. But relationships don't create meaning. They amplify it. If your life is empty, a relationship will only make that emptiness louder. The strong don't fall into this trap. They step out of the loop, break the cycle, and focus on themselves first. Inner peace is power. It gives you clarity, strength, and the ability to walk away from what doesn't serve you. Without it, you're a puppet, pulled by the strings of societal expectations and your own unresolved trauma. The strong cut those strings. They don't chase relationships, careers, or validation. They replace chaos with calm, dependency with independence, noise with silence. And from that place of strength, they choose who and what they allow into their lives. The miserable will always suffer in relationships because they carry their misery with them. It's not the fault of the relationship. It's the fault of the person who hasn't done the work. Inner peace is the antidote to this suffering, the foundation upon which everything else can stand. The strong don't build castles on quicksand. They solidify their ground first. And then, only then, do they invite others to join them. The world conditions you to seek fulfillment in others, to chase the illusion of a perfect relationship. But the strong know the secret. fulfillment comes from within. They don't chase people to find happiness because they've already found it in themselves. They replace superficial connections with meaningful ones, not out of desperation, but out of choice. And choice, made from a place of peace, is the ultimate power. When you work on your inner peace, you stop needing others to complete you. You become whole, and from that wholeness, you can give freely without expecting something in return. This terrifies the world, which thrives on dependency, on imbalance, on keeping people tied to their misery. The strong are a threat to this system because they can't be controlled, manipulated, or trapped. They choose, and they replace what no longer serves them. Inner peace is the path to strength, to freedom, to self-worth. Those who lack it will always chase, always cling, always suffer. But the strong, they don't chase, they replace. And that is why the strong will always prevail.